Hello, Deliberate Indifference, Wisconsin. This is Debbie Keither. I am making a little video today because I want to highlight some important things that are part of public record for Milwaukee Public Schools. Now, many of you have been tuned in to the depositions of many of the board members and senior level staff of Milwaukee Public Schools. So this is a very interesting and important critical piece for us to discuss. And I want to bring to your attention some letters from the Department of Public Instruction. There's a series of 4 of these letters, and they are from the state superintendent at the time to Keith Posley of Milwaukee Public Schools. You can see that right here. And it's also copied to, I just want to highlight too, it's been copied to the Senior Director of Specialized Services at the time, Jennifer Mims Howell, and Jeremiah Holliday, the Interim Chief Academic Officer. Now, if I scroll back up to this, we'll see that this one is from October 16th, 2020. And this is an interesting time frame because it is at the tail end of the pandemic. But what these letters really entail is that they are contacting the district to let them know that, there's no longer any public health order in place that would prohibit MPS from providing in-person services that are necessary to comply with state and federal law. It is the department's expectation that MPS meets their responsibility to provide a free and appropriate education, that's what that FAPE means, to every student with a disability, and that in-person instruction services are delivered. So when we think about public education, this is one of the big things MPS is always saying, right? We serve a high number of special education students. And so in saying that, in any school that does that, there are laws that you must follow with that. So this letter is citing all of those laws, but then they go into breaking down all of the funding that MPS was eligible for. So right here we see there's a $25.4 million IDEA formula funding, 1.1 in IDEA preschool funds. There is $55 million in the CARES Act, and they go on to describe what that means. There's another $10 million right here, and they're basically saying to MPS, hey, if you can't get some things in place in accordance with the law, these types of things are going to be at jeopardy. And they say that right here. MPS's failure to meet these requirements under state and federal special education law may result in the withholding of payments, recovery of funds, and or reduction or elimination of special education aid to MPS. As we think about the referendum now too, these are the kinds of things that the voters and families are very disappointed in MPS leadership about, because the funding streams are there. They have been there. It's a $1.5 billion school budget per year. There was just an $87 million reoccurring, so it's a forever funding stream that was voted into place in 2021 and went into full effect in 2023, 2024. And so the public is really saying, what is happening with all this money? And by the time you add in the MPS Foundation, which is the private revenue streams, as well as their grants, the asks of this money without meeting these basic requirements are really unacceptable. I want to draw your attention. So I also have the emails that were going back and forth because I did request them through public records. That's how I have this information. And MPS just did not respond to this. And if you watch their corresponding board meetings at the time, they discussed openly that they were very busy with the business of reopening a school district, and they could not deal with this at that time. So it's a really problematic discussion. So again, this one was October 16th. Now let's look at the next one. This is December 11th, the same kind of thing. They are reminding right here. It's to Dr. Posley. It's from the state superintendent. It's CC'd to the same people that the last one went on. And it says this message has been communicated directly to MPS staff on multiple occasions and in multiple ways since July 2020. Sounds familiar. As of today's date, MPS has failed to provide any in-person services during the 2020-2021 school year, and no public health order has prevented them from doing so. So they once again warn them that they are, unless they begin to comply, they're going to withhold all those millions of dollars. Okay, so that's in December. Again, if you go look at the board meetings and you listen to those because they're on YouTube, you can see the discussions around this. Then we see a January one. Okay, so now we're several months away from the one of these first letters. Actually, the first letter came in July 2020. So now we are well out. We are going into the 7th month. And the state superintendent is once again letting Dr. Posley know, and also letting the school board president know, that if MPS fails to provide these in-person services as required by law, by a deadline of February 4th, 2021, they will move forward with withholding reimbursement of state special education categorical funds, as well as funds available under Part B. So this is bad news, okay? Let's look at the last one here. Now this one is March. Now we're jumping to 2 more months down the road. And they say that this is a good start in terms of they met with the person they've been emailing for the last 7 months. And there were 23 students who got a little bit of service. Okay, so remember, MPS always touts that they serve special education students more than anybody else. Well, here they're only serving 23 students, 2 to 3 times per week, this 1 week. And we're supposed to celebrate that. And then they predicted that they might get up to 127 students by March 8th, 2021. But I mean, that's just MPS saying we're going to shoot to go from 23 to 127. This is a district of 65,000 students, and they say anywhere between 25 and 30% are special education. This number doesn't even touch that. They also say that they're not doing, the program that they are doing is not sufficient to meet the unique needs of individual students under the provision of FAPE. So even though they're doing something, it's very little and it's not in compliance with the law. So they reiterate now from June 2020 up until this is almost a year later now, that if they are unable to follow up on this, they are going to, MPS's failure to meet these requirements may result in the withholding of payments, recovery of funds, and or reduction or elimination of special education aid to MPS. Now, my question is, there's not much more to say about this, but what I want to hear from people is, do you think this public education facility that's serving 65,000 students did their best to provide the standard of care that Milwaukee's children deserve and are expecting from a district with a $1.5 billion budget and over $700 million in ESSER funds? Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for listening.